So walking through the lava fields, I came across this. Check this out. To most people, that may look like just a pile of rocks. Well, in a sense, it is, but also it is not. That rock, that straight line of rocks, is the last remnants of the massive fish pond, Pa'aia, of what was once probably the largest fish pond on the island, on Hawaii Island. Now, Pa'aia was no ordinary fish pond. It was an ancient Hawaiian fish pond, a very large ancient Hawaiian fish pond that was owned by none other than King Kamehameha the First. So you may ask, how massive was this fish pond? So that fish pond stretched from right here at the shoreline 1.5 miles inland and 3 miles down the coast. Now that's a big fish pond. So that fish pond that was owned by King Kamehameha the First has a story behind how and why it was destroyed by lava. So here's a story, here is a myth, and here is a legend of how and why the fish pond was covered by lava in 1801. So the overseer, or the konoiki of the fish pond, his name was Kipa'alani. Now Kipa'alani was paid a visit by this elderly lady. Now this elderly lady asked Kipa'alani, the caretaker of the fish pond, for some food. And Kipa'alani told this old lady, no, you cannot have food from this fish pond. You cannot have fish. For this fish in this fish pond is owned by King Kamehameha. This older lady was disappointed and she left. So this elderly lady walked down the coast a little bit to the end of the fish pond, and there she met up with a man. His name was Kapulao. So she asked Kapulao if she could have some food, and Kapulao gave this elderly lady some food. Now this man Kapulao, his little house was at the end of the fish pond, and that area is known as Ho'ona. So after this elderly lady was given some food from this kind gentleman Kapulao, she told him to put a stick with some tapa cloth on it at the back of his house, which he obliged, he did. Then after that, the elderly lady disappeared. So later on, the same elderly lady appeared up on the slopes of Hualalai, on the village of Manuahi. Now Manuahi is in the Hui Hui Ranch area up on the slopes of Hualalai. So when this elderly lady, who's presumed to be Madam Pele, went up to the village of Manuahi up on the slopes of Hualalai, she encountered these two young gals. These two young girls were sisters, Pahinahina and Kolumu'o. So this elderly lady, Madam Pele, asked the two sisters if she could have some food, and they obliged her. They gave her food. So after Pele had her meal, she told the girls to put a lepa. Like I said before, lepa is a stick with some tapa cloth on it. She told the girls to put the lepa at the end of the property behind their house, and the girls did. Then later on that night, Hualalai erupted, and the lava came down and flowed towards Keohole, directly towards Pa'aia, the massive fish pond. So as this lava flow came down the slopes of Hualalai, it made a trajectory and it turned directly towards the fish pond, directly towards Pa'aia. and it basically covered the whole entire of the fish pond. The fish pond to where the caretaker denied his elderly lady, Madam Pele, food. However, yes, however, the lava flow stopped at the point where she told the first Hawaiian man that gave her food. It stopped right at his residence where he put up the lipa, the stick with the tapa cloth on it. The lava flow stopped right at that point. Also, further up Mauka side on the slopes of Hualalai, up at the village of Manuahi, the lava flow also stopped at the point where the two sisters, Pahinahina and Kolumo'o, gave Madam Pele some food. They put up the lipa, the stick with the tapa cloth, and the lava flow stopped right at that point. So, this whole massive fish pond, Pa'ia, was buried 3 miles down the coast and 1.5 miles deep inland. Was buried, and it stopped at the points where the lipas, the sticks, the markers were put in the ground as directed by this elderly lady. And to this very day, you can see at the very end, the southernmost tip of that lava flow is Ho'ona, and Ho'ona is where the gentleman, the Hawaiian gentleman, gave Madam Pele some food, and he stopped right there, and you can see that to this very day. Also, the last remaining remnants of the walls of that fish pond is sticking out of the ground about 6 to 8 inches, about 10 feet long. You can see the very top of the walls of the fish pond sticking out of the ground that I happened to come across. So yeah, that's a little bit of interesting piece of history. Myth, a legend, a story, and perhaps some truth in there. That's up for you to decide. But there is no doubt that there was a flow, there was a massive fish pond, and there is part of that wall that contained the fish pond still sticking out of the ground. So Keahole Airport and the runway sits directly on top where once there was a huge fish pond that was owned by King Kamehameha the First. Stories, myths, legends, and truth. There may be a little deviations from the stories as it passed down from generation to generation or is written down in the history books, but that's how I read it, that's how I interpret it, and that's what I saw as I walk along the coast in this lava field on the island of Hawaii. Hope you enjoyed the story. Until the next one, y'all take care, and I shall talk to you later. All right, aloha.